Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hey guys, in this video, we are going to be giving you our bipartisan Senate predictions for the 2024 Senate elections in November. Yeah,
So yeah, off the bat, Democrats are on 39 seats, Republicans are on 47. So it's a very favorable map for Republicans just off of all the safe seats that we have already marked. And we'll dive straight into it with seats that are definitely safe for either side, but we want to talk about really quick. So we can start with the state of West Virginia, which is a flip because Joe Manchin is retiring, and the current governor there is definitely going to flip the seat.
yeah,
And we can talk probably about New Jersey and Maryland.
yeah. So I guess we'll start with our home state here in New Jersey. Um, so in New Jersey, we have an incredibly strong Democratic candidate in Andy Kim, who's outrun Democrats in the state before. He's from Central Jersey. Um, and yeah, he's largely expected to win here. Uh, on the Republican side, we have Curtis Boshaw, more of a more from the more moderate wing of the GOP. He actually beat the Trump endorsed candidate. And the we also have the incumbent senator running, Bob Menendez, who's also a Democrat. So yeah, this one's interesting because it's a three-way race, and there's essentially two Democrats running, except one's like a corrupt felon. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think Andy Kim's still largely going to pull it out here. He's running far ahead of Biden in the polls, and yeah, like he's a strong candidate, and he's raising a crap ton of money. So I think he'll definitely pull it out with
Agreed. I
double
could
digit.
see it under 10 if Menendez makes a big enough impact, but let's move on. We also have the state of Maryland, where Larry Hogan, the former popular Republican governor, is putting up a good fight. And the recent polling has it a little sketchy. Maybe under 10 potentially because of just how things work, though. I think we're just gonna see this go above 10. I mean, Hogan has a chance to make it under 10, but as soon as Angela also Brooks got enough name recognition, I think the tide started to turn. There is still a sketchy Republican poll here, and obviously Biden is not gonna help the ticket here, but I mean, I think this is safe. So
Yeah, it's largely been trending her
it
direction.
might, it might
So
it might make Democrats waste a little money, but that's about it. And
yeah.
yeah, I think that is going to be it for the safe Republican
I,
states
oh, wait,
and
actually,
Democratic states.
Actually,
Yeah.
I would like to I have an offer here for a safe state. I think Virginia. Tim Kaine, I
Mm,
think Tim Kaine could pull out a double digit win. He's been a historically strong candidate. I mean, there's not a lot of polling in this race. The one
it's
poll
true.
that is out has him easily beating I'm gonna butcher this name. Is it Hung Kao? Like, yeah, I'm not 100%
Well,
sure.
he's Vietnamese, so I actually don't know, but
Uh,
I
but
don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I think Tim Kaine in that poll, I believe it had it really close between Biden and Trump, and the fact Tim Kaine is running so far ahead
It's
makes me
true.
like, yeah, I think it's probably gonna
I
be
know
solid.
when Hung Kao or Hung Tao was a House candidate, I think he overperformed quite a
Yeah, he
bit in his
did.
area, and that was pretty strong. And obviously, Republicans are seeing some glimmers of hope in Virginia recently. Yeah, I was probably going to put this in likely, but I won't fight over it. It's just Virginia, so it's fine
Yeah,
by
I
me
think
to
for
put this in
now,
safe. For now, it's fine. I was probably going to put in likely, but I guess it's fine. I wish all those like presidential polls in the state did something here and just asked about the Senate race, but that's
yeah,
unfortunate. But yeah.
it's only one poll is kind of sad.
All right. We'll
Uh,
go with the likely states now.
okay. Where do we want to start here? Maybe I think Florida. I think is
Florida,
probably one of the
probably
most certain
Florida.
ones here.
Yeah, Florida is pretty certain. It could honestly, some people actually do put it in solid, but yeah, Rick Scott is running a pretty standard Republican Floridian race right now. Republicans have been doing extremely good in the state of Florida,
Hmm.
and he is just, he's a decent candidate. He has no big scandals. He's going to be fine in the state of Florida. Republicans will shift the state far to the right, and the Florida Republican Party is probably one of the best in the country. Honestly, it could even
Yeah.
be safe. We don't even know. So,
Yeah, the Democrats are running like a former representative from South Florida. Um, I guess I definitely don't believe Rick Scott is as strong as some of the other Republicans in Florida, like Ron DeSantis or Marco Rubio. Every race he's run in Florida, to my knowledge, has been extremely close, like within single digits, like extremely close. Um, so yeah, I don't like but with Florida moving right, I think it's definitely moving into a more like darker shade of red, and yeah, Rick Scott is probably definitely favored here. Uh, yeah, okay, where should we move from there? Maybe I think New Mexico. Yeah, New
New
Mexico's probably yeah,
Mexico.
New
Yeah,
Mexico.
probably New Mexico. Yeah, New Mexico. I don't really know much about either candidate because they're pretty irrelevant, but that actually says a lot about this race because the fact that they're irrelevant just shows that they're pretty much just generic people on either side of the party. Not going to run particularly great or particularly poorly. And I think this will be under 10, but it seems, probably just going likely. I don't think there's going to be any big surprises here in New Mexico this cycle.
Yeah, Heinrich, like I was looking at how he performed like in 2018, for example. And I previously thought he was a pretty strong candidate. He won by like 20 in 2018. But a big reason, like a big part of that is because there was a third party candidate taking a former governor running who took a massive slice of the vote. So if you look at that, I think that kind of that 2018 run might have overinflated how good of a candidate he actually is. But yeah, it's New Mexico. It's generally a blue state. He's the incumbent senator. He's definitely going to be favored here. Yeah, even like Republican internals have him up. So I could see it moving into double digits, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. For now, it's going to be likely.
Yeah. I think actually maybe controversial, but I definitely would say Texas is actually likely here. I know that Ted Cruz has not run the most favorable of races in the past, but this national environment I think is going to get him over 5 points. I think if you look at the polling and everything, I think he's running a decent race. He has finally avoided trouble in terms of the press for quite a while now. And, it's going to be a lot better than 2018. His opponent has much less name recognition now. And at the same time, I think Texas is going to move slightly to the right from 2020, just because of, how things are running right now with the Democrats a little bit in shambles. I think with Trump at the top of the ticket and it being a presidential year, I think it will be over 5 points for Ted Cruz.
I'm not entirely sure if I agree there. I think it'll be close to five. I'm thinking like 4 to 6 point race right now, just because Colin Allard has been raising a crap ton of money, for one. And for two, like Ted Cruz, like I mean, at the time in 2018, Cruz, it was within two with like essentially a no-name candidate at the time. That was the race that made Beto O'Rourke essentially. So I think with Colin Allard in, like I still don't think Cruz is the strongest candidate. Yeah, but I agree with the national environment is kind of shifting to the right. But yeah, I still see it on the closer side, but I'll defer to you here. We'll put it in the likely column. But yeah, I think yeah, in the end we
Yeah.
both agree Cruz is probably favored.
Yep.
Uh
All right. Do
Next
you think
closest race here. I would
I would
say
actually go Pennsylvania, but
yeah, Pennsylvania or
yeah,
Wisconsin here.
you know, yeah, I actually have another potentially controversial opinion, and that's likely Pennsylvania. I don't know what you think here, but I would actually say that Pennsylvania is in the likely column for the Democrats. And I know, it could be tough here, especially if Biden stays at the top of the ticket, and Biden is obviously running horrifically right now in every swing state, and Pennsylvania is really bad. I mean, if Biden drops out, Kamala Harris might do even worse in these types of states in the Rust Belt. So I don't think, I do think Democrats need to somehow turn the ship around at the top of the ticket. But in terms of the Senate race, I think we're going to see quite a bit of ticket splitting, more than we think will happen. And Bob Casey Jr., obviously, well-known candidate here in the state of Pennsylvania, and he's running way ahead of another loser in David McCormick, the Republican that has been set up as, in my opinion, a sacrificial lamb. I know that people think that this race might have a chance because of just how bad Biden is doing, and obviously Trump has a chance to pull McCormick over, but I actually think this one's also over five by a hair.
Yeah, this one, it's pretty clear Bob Casey's been running a really strong race. Like his polling, I think almost every poll has favored him. Like every poll, I mean, you can see there has favored him. While a lot of these polls show the same voters that are being sampled, voting for Trump and favoring Trump. So yeah, it is clear in the polling at least that there's a very big ticket split here. And yeah, I think David McCormick has a similar flaw to the last candidate Republicans ran, Mehmet Oz, um, with his like mansion in Connecticut. Just like being spending so much time out of state is not a good look for a candidate. So yeah, I definitely can see this tipping into likely. I think this is another borderline one though, between likely and lean. But yeah, Casey's definitely favored here.
Yeah, I mean, if John Fetterman could win by
Oh, you're right.
almost a likely margin, this is, I mean, there is obviously the Trump Biden dynamic, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really think it's that bad right now. All right, let's go to Wisconsin, I guess, where I would probably start dipping into the lean column, in my opinion.
I
And
could go either way on this one. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is another case with the like a big ticket split here in the polling at least. Tammy Baldwin, I mean, she smashed in 2018. She got a double-digit win, like completely massive. But in the polling suggests a variety of things. Like some show a really close, like almost even race. Some show her winning by like 12 points. Um, so I don't really know what to make of it. It's kind of all over the place. So this is like another one where I think it's kind of in a similar spot to Pennsylvania, and the Republican isn't particularly strong. Like they didn't get their best. I recall they didn't get their best candidate. They wanted Representative Gallagher to run as the Republican candidate, but they instead got like a millionaire named Eric Hovde to run against her. So I guess we'll see. But I definitely, yeah, this is another one where I think Baldwin's definitely favored, and I'm between lean and likely on this one, honestly.
yeah, I think we should put in lean in, and I'll give you my reasoning.
Hmm.
First of all, if you take away the no-namer polls, where maybe you just, for example, look at Marquette and Emerson, which are, the June recent polls, it's pretty close, especially when you take away the undecideds. A lot of the undecideds here are for Hovde once you make them lean to one side, and you're probably going to vote for the side that you lean for. Emerson poll closer than 5%. Um, and yeah, I think with all
Okay,
these recent
but
polling,
Quinnipiac has her up 12 though, so I don't
yeah,
know
but
what to
this is
make of that.
old. I mean, this is
Yeah,
pretty
it is
old
May.
though.
Okay, it is
This
May.
is
Okay,
in
that's fair.
May. And if you think about it, the debate's gonna make Republicans stronger because Democrats are less inclined to vote now for Biden. And you also have to look at just how these polls are moving. And we have basically no polls post debate except for two, like, basically bad polls. Um, yeah, I just don't see Wisconsin polling being that accurate in general too. So we can't always just look at the polls. Wisconsin polling has often been poor, and I think if Trump right now is favored to win Wisconsin by over a point, probably 2 to 3
Yeah.
points. I don't think that Baldwin is going to run 8 points ahead of Biden.
I mean,
Maybe,
I
but I
I
don't
just want
see
to
it.
say, I mean, I don't know how much faith you want to put in the one of the latest polls, the Fabrizio Ward Impact Research, which is done by both a Dem and Republican pollster working together. It showed Trump up 5, but Baldwin up 5. That's a 10-point gap. So I don't think it's impossible that
It's
we see
okay,
an
it's not
absolutely massive
impossible, but
gap.
I think it's way less likely than in a state like Pennsylvania where Bob Casey has like a lot more, specific individual appeal.
Okay, I mean we could place it in lean. Um, but yeah, I definitely Baldwin is favored like as of right now. I mean, yeah, okay. There's also the another factor going for Hovde here in that his name recognition isn't that high. He hasn't run for office before, so it's likely that his name recognition will go up over time, which will bring him up in the polls eventually. Um, so we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But right now, yeah, Baldwin's favored. Okay. Where to next? I think. I think Arizona actually is probably the next least close race.
Arizona over Michigan?
Yeah, I would say so.
Really? Okay, we can
I
go
mean,
into Arizona.
like I would say, yeah, like, cause okay, so we have Ruben Gallego, representative running as a Democrat here, versus Carrie Lake, who was the Republican candidate for governor in 2022, and she lost by like just a hair. So, um, here Gallego's been super consistently polling ahead of Carrie Lake. The only poll that actually had her ahead was a Rasmussen one, which is definitely skewed toward the Republicans. Um, and this is another one where I did some maths like a couple days ago, and Gallego on average, according to the RCP averages, is running about somewhere around 10 points ahead of Biden. That is crazy. Um, and like it's just like his polling has been so consistent, and with the state trending left, and Carrie Lake being an incredibly flawed candidate, all that stacks, and I think that really puts Gallego in in a good place. And yeah, I think it's definitely a lean here. I could personally even see this. I mean, okay, if Biden wasn't doing so bad, I could even see this getting to 5 points, but
Yeah.
like or to even a likely mark. But yeah, right now it's lean. He's definitely
And
favored.
this goes for like all these battleground Senate seats. I mean, I
That's
feel
true.
like if Biden wasn't at the top of the ticket, maybe every single race here could shift one rating to the left or something like that, because that's just how bad this presidential election year is hurting Democrats. I mean, we look at just how big the difference is in the polling between these people, and people are going to not be talking about the Senate race come November, come October. They're going to
That's
be
true.
talking about Biden versus Trump. And when you go in there and you vote for Trump, you're probably thinking, hey, I'll probably just give him a Republican Senate. And if you're not going out to vote for Biden because you're just not enthused as a Democrat, there is no one there to cast the rest of the ballot. So abstaining for Biden is also abstaining for Gallego and Baldwin and Casey and everyone else we're
It's
going to
true.
talk
Yeah.
about. So there we go. And then I guess we'll move to Michigan, where we have probably another Democrat favored race that would be uh, better for Alyssa Slotkin if Biden was not in the race. And we can talk about this yet again.
Yeah, so Elisa Slotkin, she's a Dem representative from like the Lansing part of the state, like the center part of the state. She's from a swing district, and she's been definitely increasing her margin in that district. Um, and yeah, now she's running for Senate. Um, and the Republicans are running Mike Rogers, a former representative, I believe from the same. He used to represent her district back in the 2010s, the early 2010s. So I mean, I guess we'll see. It's like the battle of the representatives here. But yeah, Elisa Slotkin's definitely been favored in the polling. Again, it's another scenario where in polls where Biden and Trump are really close, or Trump even up, Elisa Slotkin's pretty consistently overperforming Biden's margins. Um, so she's definitely, and I mean she's winning most of the polls. I don't if you can I think scroll down a little bit. Um, I think Elisa Slotkin, yeah, she's been ahead in like there hasn't been a poll where Mike Rogers is ahead. Um, so she's been ahead in every poll. That's a very good sign. If you're Elisa Slotkin. And with the Democrats stopping in 2022, in the state of Michigan, I definitely think she is favored going into this. So I would even put it lean here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be lean. Yeah, I do know that earlier today there was some reporting on her stating a few things on Michigan and Biden, and she was talking about how Biden was just trailing Trump in every single poll that she's been looking at in the state, and I think she's concerned for her own political life there. If she gets dragged with Biden, it could look bad, but if we're just looking at current projections and her polling in general, she's going to be ahead right now.
Yep.
And so now we sort of move to the final three. Right now, Trump, if he wins the White House, he would have 50 seats. But if Biden held on to the White House, he would have a shot if he swept the rest of the table here to hold the Senate at 50-50. And that just shows how bad the map is for Democrats. And yeah, I guess we can go to wherever, but maybe
Uh,
start from the West and I don't know.
I would prefer to I think we start with the one I believe that will be the least close and let's just I think Montana here. I mean, okay, so in Montana we have a Democratic incumbent in a deep red state. John Tester barely won back in 2018 by like 2 or 3 points. Now he's up against another millionaire, I believe, Tim Sheehy, and a veteran. Um, so yeah, a lot of the polling recently has been Republican leaning pollsters. And it's shown like it's given mixed signals. I think one Republican leaning pollster had it even, one had Sheehy up 3, and one had him up 6. Um, I don't know that since it's a Republican leaning pollster, that tells me it's still pretty close, and maybe even Tester is favored as of right now. But by November, I definitely think Sheehy will be the ultimate like winner. Why? Because I don't think many people in Montana know Tim Sheehy yet. Like this is again someone kind of coming out of nowhere and running for political office. He doesn't have his name established yet, and I think as his name rec increases, he'll gain more promise. And as we see more independents polls come out close to the race, I think we'll inevitably see Tim Sheehy more favored. So yeah, I definitely think that I would put this lean Republican personally.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's that much more to add to that. The point on the name recognition is really good, and that's going to put Republicans over the top on Senate control.
Hmm.
And I think we can go to Nevada.
Yeah. Okay, so Nevada is an interesting story here. We have Jackie Rosen, the incumbent Democrat. She won by, I believe, 5 in 2018. It's a pretty decent margin for a swing state. Running against Sam Brown, another veteran running as a Republican. And here, okay, I mean, as you can see here, like the polling is kind of self-explanatory with Jackie Rosen ahead in every poll. Again, there's that factor. Sam Brown isn't that well known. He's polling, as you can like in the latest poll, 33%, 38%. In the end, this or the Republican candidate in Nevada is probably not going to end at 33 to 38%. They're going to be much higher than that. So it's definitely going to closen up as we get closer to the election. But I will say Jackie Rosen is polling pretty high. I mean, even in one poll, the Emerson poll, she's at 50%. That's basically a win right there. Um, so if you like, I think with her polling that well, that definitely does give her an advantage. I I I'm I'm not sure if I want to put this in lean or tilt D, but I definitely think Rosen is favored.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we had in our last prediction. Do you know in this race? I'm not
I
sure. I
think
feel like maybe we could have tilted this R, but I don't know. But we'll put this in tilt D. I wholeheartedly agree with you on this race. I think the polling is at this point too hard to ignore. And if you look at these exact same polls and what they say in terms of the presidential race, it's going to come down to the exact same story with how turnout is and everything shifting in the state of Nevada. Jackie Rosen is doing a lot better than I expected in the polls. And she's very close to 50% in a lot of them. So that's a thing, but we really don't know. We want a lot more polling in this race. It would be
hmm
very helpful, especially from more big time names that aren't these sort of unnecessary pollsters that don't add that much value. I mean, they're there, but they don't really have a track record, right? So we can't
Yeah.
really tell if they're good or not, and we don't know if they're gonna be any use.
hmm
So yeah, I agree with that, but it's tough to say in Nevada because, I think the race is gonna close up, and Trump has been doing really good in Nevada, and that's gonna definitely help Sam Brown get over the finish line there. So we'll go to our last state, which is the state of Ohio here, where Sherrod Brown has sort of been doing this moderate Democrat thing that isn't really that moderate, but that's besides the point. He's polling a lot better than some people might expect in the state of Ohio, and he is running ahead of Bernie Moreno, who has consolidated the Republicans after the primary election in March.
hmm
As you can see, he jumped a lot more. But also, as you can see, Sherrod Brown is at 50% in Marist, which is pretty tough to overcome. And so we have this dynamic where Sherrod Brown is going to be defending a state that Trump is going to
Yeah.
win likely by maybe 10 points. And we know Ohio can ticket split, but will it split 10 points? I
I mean,
don't know.
I will say in 2022 there was like a 19-point split
And
between the
yeah, that's
Senate
why
race and
that's
the
why
governor
I
race,
did say
so it's
that people
possible.
can split. Yes.
It is very possible that Sherrod Brown could win here. And I will note also, Moreno was seen as the most extreme, the furthest right candidate, especially with his takes on abortion. Um, that I think some voters will see as very extreme. Sherrod Brown is, I mean, the incumbent. Obviously, he's known. And I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it inevitably turns out. But personally, I go back and forth on this. The polling has been really good for Sherrod Brown, as you can see. But, Ohio polling has always been, has always been a little sketch. Like I haven't like I don't believe I've seen an election with good Ohio polling. Like even the ones in 2022 were kind of like, I mean, they were off to the right in a lot of them. So like they've always been kind of off in like a particular direction by a significant amount. But we'll see. Um, I I go back and forth on this one. Do you have any uh ratings that you'd think would be fit here?
Okay, I mean, actually, I'm going to tilt this D. Last prediction we tilted this to the right, to the R side, and I think this was in May, and these like polls after probably just confirm that go the other way, confirm the tilt D narrative a little more. I think Sherrod Brown is doing actually really, really well for Democrat, and I have a lot of friends actually in Ohio that talk about the campaign there, and they say that Sherrod Brown is running a lot better than we think. Granted, these are Democrats, so do
Hmm.
we know? But can we tilt this D this prediction? I think.
Y- Yeah, okay. I think for now, yes, because
Yeah,
like
for now. Yeah,
Moreno has been
and
running a
this
good campaign. I mean, sorry. Brown has been running a good campaign. Moreno, I mean, yeah, Moreno still might have to get his name out, but I'm not sure it'll be enough because I think he's largely seen. I mean, like as the more far right extremist can, like I think he might be a little too far for Ohio State, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's really going to rely on the Biden versus Trump race and how much it affects the Senate. The Senate is basically an afterthought in most minds of the American public, and obviously that's going to have intense effects. We just had moments ago the first senator to call for Biden to step out of the race in Vermont's Peter Welch, who is not the one up here. Somehow Bernie Sanders thinks he can serve to the age of 88.
I
But,
mean, Sanders is
you
older
know,
and he's running again,
no,
so
no, I know. I mean, and he's running for a longer term too. So,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Like, best of health to Bernie. Don't know if he's gonna make to 80, but yeah. So obviously you have the first senator now that's called for Biden to step aside as the Democrat nominee for president, and this is why, right? Because it's gonna have a lot of down ballot effects.
yep,
You're
you're
gonna
right.
see a lot of these lean races for Democrats. Because look at the Republican races. Besides Montana, they're all locked down, basically, right? Likely or safe. It's all
Yeah,
these Democrat states that they're barely clinging on to try to hold on for another 6 years, right? And so if you see these states voting Republican at the senatorial level, guess why? It's going to be because of Joe Biden's unpopularity and not for anything else, because these Senate candidates are either very popular or for some reason they're running way ahead of Biden. So you just have to keep that in mind. Biden
yeah,
obviously had a horrible debate, and that's going to reflect. Let's look at these betting odds right now. Democrats at a 24% chance to hold the Senate, which is very, very low. That's under a quarter
yeah.
chance. And yeah, by the way, the only betting odds on the two states on Predicted is Arizona, Ohio, and they actually do lean Republican on Ohio, which is interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I think
we'll
it was
see what
about like
happens.
exactly even in Ohio until after the debate, and then it swung toward Moreno. Um, but yeah, we'll
That makes a
definitely
lot of sense.
monitor that and see how that ends up. Hmm.
I think our next Senate prediction might have a few flips in these tilt states. We'll see though. We'll see. We'll see how who the Democrat nominee is even gonna be, because we don't know. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below on what you think the prediction should be, right, for November. I think we have quite a Democrat friendly prediction here, actually. So yeah, comment down below what your thoughts are on this. Subscribe to the channel because we probably want to do a house prediction and other videos shortly. And share this video with your family and friends. Thanks for watching.
See ya.